is access control? Type of the access control. And normally we go to the office every day. We need physical access, we need logical access, we need administrative access so we can perform our task. Physical access, once you want to access the building. Logical access, we will see one by one each other. Okay, physical access control, actual barrier deployed to prevent direct access for the system.
24.
A goal is to prevent unauthorized user from gaining physical access to facilities, equipment, and the other organization's assets. Okay, so basically, like mostly you can see in if you want to access any building, of course you need some kind of ID scan or somebody will be there to give you the access. Okay, guys, if you are not speaking, please mute it yourself because there is constantly noise is coming. Okay, what is a logical access control? Hardware and software solution used to manage access to resources and system. These technology based, basically physically you are not there. Like email system we use, it's like a logical access because you use username and password. These technology based solutions include tools and protocol that computer system use to identify authentication, authorization, and accounting. Type of access control, administrative access control, policies and procedure defined. Personal and business practices, strategies, mandatory MAC, restrict the action that the subject can perform on an object. Object can be user or a process. File, locate what they can do. Authorization rule enforce whether a subject can access the object. Strategy, DAC, discretionary access control, grant or restrict the user, main implies control or discretionary. Okay. Okay, this is important, maybe the RBAC. Have you heard about this RBAC, by the way? Role-based access control is based on the role of the subject, role or job function in your organization. I think maybe, let's say you just recently maybe passed a CCNA. So if you like, if you want to give in your network, if you want to give full access, enable mode access, then in that case you need to give a privilege level 15, so a person can perform a task. If somebody want to give, he can check the logs, he can do basic troubleshooting. He cannot log into the config mode, for example. So then you need to give him based on his job requirement. Maybe he's just a level 1 guy. You just need to check status of the interface, doing some ping test, doing some trace test, checking the configuration, but he cannot do any changes in the system. Then based on this functionality, you can define some role inside your system, so providing him some access. This is called normally RBAC, role-based access control. Rule-based access control uses access control list. This is the access list, right? Okay. So who you are and where you're going. Okay, access control, we use identity enforcement rule established by the authorization policy. A subject requests access to the system resources. Every time the subject requests access to the resources, the access control determine whether to grant or deny. Similarly, like a visa, you can think about it. Cybersecurity policy determine which identification control should be used. Okay, what are the authentication method? Password, PIN, passshares, example of the something that user knows. Passwords are most popular method used for authentication. What you have, smart card as well. Secret key fobs are also. What you have, what you are, a uniquely physical characteristics such as the fingerprint, retina, voice, they can be also used for authentication. Multi-factor authentication uses at least 2 methods of verification. A secret key fob is good example. These 2 factors are sometimes, such as password and something has the secret key. Yeah. Authorization. Okay, authorization means a user can or cannot do on the network after. So once he successfully enter in the system, what he can do So maybe in your office, once you access the building, maybe they have not allowed you to go everywhere. You may be only restricted to floor 2, or maybe where there is IT equipment, only people, those are from IT, and within the IT, only those particular people, those are relevant to that, they can go in. Because if you have the access to the IT equipment room, you can switch off, you can have the console access, you can do anything. After a user proves his identity, the system check to see what network resources he can access. This is normally we call AAA, Authentication, Authorization, and Accounting. System compare the attribute information contained, Authentication database, determine the set of restriction, defining authorization rule is first step to controlling the access. Okay, so once you can access, once you perform your task, now you are accountable. What have you done? Accountability traces an action back to the person or a process making the changes of the system, collecting this information and report the usage data. So basically what he has done, the organization can use this data for some purpose as the auditing and billing. The collected data might include the logs in what time, okay, allow an organization to trace back error, mistakes, investigation, and audit. Implemented accountability consists of technology, policy, procedure, and education. Okay, this one is an interesting one. I think last